Hi guys, welcome back to our week 8 meeting. I see a lot of people starting here. Manga is here, okay. Crystal, Victoria, Adriana, Andrea, Thao, and Jonathan. All right. Okay, so let's start this week's lecture. I'm gonna cover two chapters, so chapter 11 and chapter 12. And let me start my screen sharing. All right, so chapter 11. Now, chapter 11 is it's a very short chapter. It's very similar to chapter 10. It's basically all definitions, and there are a couple of key definitions. Once you know what they are, you'll be pretty set for chapter 11. Okay, so let's go over this. Now, let's cover definition first. The first thing to learn something called excludable and also rival in consumption. So excludable is the ability to exclude somebody from consuming the same good. That's called excludable. And then rival in consumption is the ability to, this is how I think about rival in consumption. If anything suffers from congestion, that's a rival in consumption. That means one person use of the good will diminish the quality of the other person use of the good. Now, these two words here will determine whether good is a public good or private good. So again, excludable is the ability to exclude somebody from consuming the same good. And then rival in consumption, that means if one person uses the good, it would diminish the quality of consumption for other person who uses the same good. Let me over this with you. So this is very important. The 4 different type of good. Private good, that's both rival in consumption and also excludable. So for example, the example we have on PowerPoint says food. So let's suppose we have a pizza. Now for a pizza here, we can exclude somebody from consuming the same pizza. So suppose I pay for it, it is my pizza. You cannot touch my pizza. Therefore, that's a private good. Okay. Also, a pizza suffers from rival in consumption. Now, let's imagine I'm a very generous person, which I'm not. Okay. So suppose I'm a very generous person, and I buy a pizza, and then I tell everybody who's here right now. So I say Robert, Jonathan, Mai, Han, and then Andrea, Adriana, Victoria, Crystal, Manga. We're gonna share this one pizza. Well, there's a lot of pizza. There's a lot of people to share, which is one pizza. So the more people we invite, the less. All right, Jonathan. So the more people we invite, the less share each person get. So there is a driving consumption. So which means if we're really selfish, we don't want other people to share the pizza with us. So that's a private good. And then give me 1 second. Let me type this out. Sorry, guys. We have a classmate who is unable to join us right now and is texting me. So let me just reply this text. Give me 1 second. Okay. So the public goods, they're not excludable, and then they're not driving consumption. And an example we have here is national defense. Now, when we think about public good, more than likely the very first public good you can think about is public parks. But the problem is public parks public good? So to be called a public good, you must be both not excludable and not driving consumption. So not excludable, that means everybody can consume it. And then if you look at public park, everybody can consume public park. But the problem is that what if your public park is congested with people? Then your quality consumption goes down. So a public park cannot be a public good. And the same thing goes with highway. So if you look at the Highway 45, Highway 59, or Highway 610, those are public highways. So everybody can consume the same highway. However, that if too many people consume the highway at the same time, then we have a congestion. And with congestions, that's called rivaling consumption. So a public park, a public highway, they are not public goods. Now, national defense in this case is a public good. So for national defense, we cannot exclude somebody from consuming the same good. I mean, imagine, let's say, if Obama calls Osama, says, "Hey, Osama, you cannot attack anybody in America except Victoria." Well, we can't do that, right? Because there's no way to exclude somebody from consuming our national defense. So the national defense is not excludable. And it doesn't suffer from rivaling consumption because for national defense, as long as you're in our border, you will be protected. So therefore, national defense is a true public good. And also, if you guys think about stuff like your your regular TV, oh, and also radio. So radios and TVs, they're all public good because everybody can consume those good. There's no way to stopping them from consuming the good, and then the level of consumption doesn't go down, even though there are many people consuming the same good. Oh, but which, by the way, don't forget, guys, tonight is the last and final debate between President, between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. So make sure to watch that. Okay, so tonight at 8. All right, so that's a public good. Now, common resource. They're rival, but not excludable. So fish in the ocean, everybody can go fish in the ocean, so that's not excludable. But there is only a limited number of fish in the ocean. Therefore, fish in the ocean, they're a common resource. And also our parks over here. Well, that's not how you spell park. Park and highways, they're all common resource. Hi, Mohammed. Guys, give me 1 second. Let me check on. Just got a very important email. Sorry about that, guys. Give me 1 second, okay? All right, I'm back for real now. Okay, so last one is called club goods. So club goods, they're excludable, but not rivaling consumption. So cable TV is a club goods because for cable TV, you have to pay to watch cable TV. So cable TV, we can stop somebody from consuming the same good. But cable TV, like a regular TV, doesn't matter how many people watch the TV, your level of consumption wouldn't be affected. So therefore, cable TV is called a club goods. Okay. All right. So don't make sure to know these 4 definitions here. So they're very important definitions. Let's keep going. Free rider. Free rider is a person who receives the benefit of a good, but avoid paying for it. So for free rider, I think most of us are free riders sometime in our life. And then, guys, if you remember, when you were a kid, how we used to watch PBS. I remember the good shows like what Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. What else was there? There was a cat. There was a show about the cat, the Siamese cat. What was the show called? God, I can't remember. The cat show, and then the Clifford the Red Dog. Okay, so those are very good TV shows for kids. But the thing is, not many of us who pay to watch that show. Now, even though PBS is a public broadcasting company, so it's a public company, but PBS they rely on viewer support. So we're supposed to donate money to watch those shows, but we don't donate money. We only watch the shows and not paying for it. Therefore, All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Crystal said, yeah, sagwa, right? So so because we don't pay for it, and then we're all free rider in the society. Okay, so free rider is anybody who watched the show. You know what, Crystal, for just for that, 2 points extra on the test. Okay, so free rider is anybody who watched the show but who doesn't pay for it. Okay, all right, that's a free rider. Not very important. Cost of benefit, we already learned that before. Let me see what else is important. Let's skip all this. Yeah, guys, remember what I said. If you know the definition for this chapter, you're pretty set. All right, so that's it for chapter 11. Now next, let's look at chapter 12. Now, chapter 12 is not as easy as chapter 11. For chapter 12, we're going to go over a lot of information on tax. Now, we all pay tax, sales tax, property tax, your school tax, income tax, FICA, so we pay a lot of tax. Now, for the tax, we're going to look at our income tax for this point, for this chapter. So design of our tax system. Let's see, where do we start? So for our tax, for between your state and federal and local level, about 25 to 30% of our GDP is going to tax. Now, if you know how so many people says tax too high, but the current tax system is not as high as before, because back in the early 1990s, so 1995 and 1996, our overall tax was even over 30% of GDP. So today is about 25% GDP, so it's a little lower than before. The majority of the tax we paid is all going to the federal income tax. So that's going to cover for this chapter. And then this list here shows you a comparison between many of the industrial countries, how much tax they pay. So Denmark pays about 48% of the GDP to tax. And the US, again, we're somewhere down here, is only 25%. So it's not that low, but it's pretty low compared to other countries. We can skip this. All right, so income tax and consumption tax. Now remember, consumption tax, that's our sales tax. So for sales tax, what in taxes, we have about 8.25% is our sales tax. Now, any idea how much of our sales tax is paying to the federal government? It's a number. It's a number between 0 to 8.25. So any idea? Now, for our sales tax, 6.25 is paid to the state. 1% is paid to the city. 1% is paid to the county. Oh, too far. So, which means 0% is to the federal government. So that's why we say our sales tax is a state and local sales tax. We don't have any federal sales tax, at least not yet. Let me see. All right, this is important. So average tax rate and the marginal tax rate. And then guys, you'll be expected to do problem on this in your quiz and also on the test. So average tax rate, we take our total tax paid divided by total income. That's your average tax rate. And the marginal tax rate is your change in income divided by change. Oh, no, not change. I'm sorry, change in what? What's wrong with me today? Change in income. Why not always say, sorry guys, change in tax. So change in tax over change in income. So for every $1 extra you make, how much tax do you pay? That's your marginal tax rate. The This is definitely called lump sum tax. So it's basically a flat tax per person. Um, we don't have lump sum tax in America. So you can also think this as the admission ticket. So if you go to a park, go to a theme park, you pay the admission. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter how tall you are, you pay the same price for admission ticket. That's the same thing as a lump sum tax. So everybody pay the same amount, and we don't have the lump sum tax in America. Okay, let's keep going. Now, this benefit principle. So the idea people should pay tax based on the benefit they receive from government service. Um, our current tax system is not based on benefit principle. Now, even though this sounds pretty fair, so what this says that means the more benefit you're receiving from the government, the more tax you should pay. But remember, our government is providing many of the poor low-income family with a lot of benefit. They already don't have money, so how do you make them pay for it? So our tax is not based on benefit principle. Our tax is based on something called ability to pay principle. So the idea that tax should be placed on the people who have a higher ability to pay for it. So the more money you have, the more tax you pay, and then the less money you have, the less tax you pay. So this is what our tax is based on right now. It's called ability to pay principle. What is your ability to pay for the tax? All right, and a vertical equity is just the taxpayer with a greater ability to pay tax should pay larger amount. And then we're gonna look at that later on in the example we have. Okay. So we have three tax systems: proportional, regressive, and progressive. So proportional, so taxpayer pays the same amount of fraction of the income to tax. So let's suppose if everybody pays a flat rate 10%, that's a proportional tax. Now regressive, that means the more income you have, so lower rate you pay, and then the lower income you have, the higher rate you pay. So that's a regressive tax, which is very, very bad. Um, progressive, this is the one we use right now. So progressive means the more income you have, the more rate you pay. The lower income you have, the lower rate you pay, and that's called progressive tax system. Okay. All right. So let's um. All right. So let's look at this now. For regressive, if your income is 50,000, you pay 15,000 tax of $15,000 of tax, then the percentage of tax to your income is 30%. And then if income is 100,000, you pay 25,000 tax, then your percentage is 25%. And the income is 200,000, you pay $40,000 tax, your percentage is 20%. You see how this percentage is decreasing as your income is increasing, right? So this go reversed. That's called regressive tax. And then proportional tax, how much of tax you pay is identical proportion. It doesn't matter how much income you have. So it's always 25% of income. That's a proportional tax. And then regressive. So if your income is 50,000, you pay 10,000, which is only 20%. And then if income is 100,000, you pay $25,000. That's a 25%. And last one, if your income is 200,000, you pay $600 in tax, and there's a 30% tax. So the rate is increasing, and this is called a progressive tax system. And then for the current tax code in U.S. tax system, this is the one we use right now. So the more income you have, the more you'll pay. Now, this is an example of the tax bracket we have. Let me see if bracket is definition. No, it's not bracket. Okay, so each level is called a bracket. Now, what that means a certain portion of the income pays a certain percentage of tax. So for the first $8,700, you pay a 10% tax. And then from 8,701 to 35,350, you pay a 15% tax. So as your income goes higher and higher and higher, the different portion of income pays a bigger percentage of tax. So this 35% doesn't mean the entire income pays 35%. It just means those amount that's over the threshold. That portion, you pay the 35%. And that's called a marginal tax rate. Now, horizontal equity is the ideal taxpayer with a similar ability to pay tax or pay the same amount. That's basic definitions. Let me see if I can do an example. All right, let me go back. So, guys, let's do an example based on this tax system. Example in the book is not a very good example. All right, so let me, guys, if you want, open the spreadsheet with you, and then we can do it together. Sure. Now, for this chapter, you're gonna do many questions on how much tax to pay. So make sure you know how to get the calculations right, okay? All right, so let's suppose we have a person's income is $100,000. Income of $100,000. Let's find out how much tax this person pays. Average tax rate. Average tax rate. Also the marginal tax rate. Now, when the question is asking for the marginal tax rate, always asking for is where on the tax table here that your income relies on. So for $100,000, it's going to be in this bracket at 25%. I mean 28%. So our marginal tax rate is just 28%. Okay, so just look for wherever the number is, wherever the income is, that's your marginal tax rate. And then to find your average tax rate, we have to find our tax paid first. So find out how much tax you're gonna pay. So this $100,000 will go through the bracket over here. So for our first $8,700, so 87 minus 0, for the first $8,700, we're gonna pay, let me do equal sign. So for the first $8,700, we'll pay a 10% rate. And then from 35,350 to 8,700, we pay a 15% rate. And for next bracket, from 85,650 to 35,350, we're gonna pay a 25% rate. And then last one, now for last one, we're not gonna go all the way to 178 anymore because your income is only $100,000. So I'm gonna stop at 100,000. So for the last bracket, I'm gonna do 100,000 minus 85,650. Oh. And for this, I've got an equal sign. Retype everything. Minus 85,650. The last level, gonna pay 28% tax. All right, so the total tax you pay. So for the first level, 10% times 8,700. That's 870, and then do the same thing for every single level. Then the total tax you pay is the total of everything altogether. Total everything. Our total tax is $21,460. Okay, so for this person, they will pay a $21,460 for tax. And then the average tax rate, just use your tax paid divided by your income. That's your average tax rate. So it's about 21.4% percentage. All right, so that's how you do it. Okay, so remember to find your average tax, first find out how much tax you paid, and then use how much tax you paid divided by your income. That's your average tax. And the marginal tax just goes through the tax bracket to look for wherever the number is. That's your marginal tax rate. All right, so that covers this part. Let's keep going. Oh, does anybody have any question right now regarding how to find the tax, like how to do the tax bracket? Guess no questions. All right, so guys, if no questions, let's keep going. We're almost finished with chapter 12. Let's skip this. Not important. Won't be on the test. So flat tax. So flat tax is a tax system under which marginal tax rate is the same for all taxpayer. So this will be a proportional tax. So it doesn't matter how much income you have, you pay the same tax. And again, guys, we don't have any flat tax right now, so so don't worry about it. But just make sure you know that the current tax system is a progressive tax. The more income you have, the more rate you pay. Okay. All right, so that's it for this chapter. Now, before we finish, let's talk about many of you probably don't remember Herman Cain is. Herman Cain ran as a presidential candidate back in 2012. So he was coming from the Republican Party. Herman Cain was the founder for Godfather Pizza, or CEO for Godfather Pizza. So he was pretty famous. And then during the last election, Herman Cain proposed something. He said we should replace our current tax system with a new system that he called the 999 plan. Now, what that is, the 999 plan is your 9% corporate income tax, 9% uh, personal income tax, and the last one, 9% national sales tax. So the 9%, our current corporate income tax is maxed at 39.6%. So if you're getting a new 9% tax, that's a very low. So many of the corporations will save money. And then our current tax is maxed at what 35% we saw before. So if the current rate is 35%, and then if you lower it to 9% regardless of income, then most people in America will pay a lower income tax. The only problem is this 9% sales tax. Now, to us, 9% sales tax doesn't feel that much higher than what you're paying right now. So right now we're paying 8.25%. So it looks like just a little higher than the current percent, but this 9% tax is a 9% federal sales tax. So it will be on top of your 8.25% state and local tax. So if this happens, our new sales tax will be at 17.25%. So it will be a very high sales tax. So there is no perfect answer for tax system, because everything you do, you always benefit somebody, you're always hurting somebody else. All right. So anybody have any questions regarding to the tax system, like how much tax we pay, how to find the average tax or marginal tax? Oh, Robert. Okay, I see you already answered your question. Yeah, just look at the dates on D2L. That will show you all the due dates. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any question regarding to this week? No, no questions. Sure. Maybe once you do the homework. All right, Adriana. Okay, guys. If no question, let's end it here. So remember, because you watched the video live, you'll be getting 3 points on your exam 2, which is next week. And then for anybody who's going to watch this recorded session, you get 2 points extra. But make sure to put your name in the comment section. Just say hi. I was here. I'm watching this right now, and you get your 2 points. All right, guys. If no questions, then good luck, and I will see everybody here next week at the same time. So Wednesday, 2 p.m. I will see everybody back here.